Okay, so today I'm reviewing the Mokwheel Tarmac electric bike, and this bike has something that you don't see all the time, and that is a cadence sensor and a torque sensor combo on the electric bike. So this is related to the pedaling experience as far as giving you a natural and powerful pedaling experience. And we'll talk a little bit more about that to see how it performs later in this video. But yeah, this bike does have a normal price of $2,099, but right now it is on sale for $1,699. So get it at that good sale price if you can. But yeah, this bike does have a 750 watt rear hub motor that does peak out at 920 watts. And the battery comes in at 48 volts and 15 amp hours. And it should get you between 50 and 60 miles for the range. And as far as weight, this does weigh around 66 pounds. So not super heavy, pretty easy to pick up and move around if you need to. And this bike does come in 3 different colors. So you have Phantom Black, you have Pine Green, and also this really nice looking marine blue color that I'm riding on right now. And overall assembly of this bike was really straightforward, pretty simple for all of the electric bikes that I've assembled over my time. So really nice and easy to put together. And I do always like to look at the fit and finish of a bike when it comes to the cable management and the logo placement and just the overall look of it. And this bike does check all of the boxes, in my opinion, when it comes to just fit and finish. And this is a step over bike, so you do have to step over this bar at the top. It's not really that bad when it comes to step over bikes. A step through version would be nice to see in the future. But below that top bar, you do have a mount for a water bottle holder or a bicycle mount. And also you do get front and rear plastic fenders on this bike. And also you do get a rear rack. And so yeah, you can use this rack to mount your bag or maybe strap down a cover for your bike or a jacket, whatever you want. Now also on the back of the rear rack, you will find an integrated tail light that does also function as a brake light. And also it does have some turn signals. And then also to the left and the right of the motor, you'll also find a brake light and also some turn signals. And also on the front of the bike, you will find an integrated headlight that performs well, really good coverage in front of you. And I just really like these integrated lights because it gives this bike a really nice clean finish. Okay, so now for my speed test. So this bike does ship to you as a class 2 electric bike. So with the throttle only, we are expecting to only get up to 20 miles per hour, but you can set up this bike to be able to allow you to go up to 28 miles per hour when you are using pedal assist. But this first test, we'll just be using throttle only, and this bike does have a thumb throttle located on the left-hand side of the handlebars. Typically for bikes sold in the US, the throttle is located on the right-hand side of the handlebars, but no big deal. But anyway, let's get this test going in 3, 2, 1, boom. And we are already at 5, 8 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour. Pretty good acceleration. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 miles per hour according to my GPS app on my phone, and 19.7, 19.8 according to the bike's display, and we just hit 20. Pretty good acceleration. Let's test out the hydraulic disc brakes here. Yeah, brakes are really good too. So yeah, I love the acceleration on this bike. I do wish that it could go up to 28 miles per hour using throttle only. And so I definitely felt the motor kind of limit itself when we got up to 19 miles per hour. And mostly that's for like legal reasons. A lot of places only allow these companies or just want these companies to ship class 2 electric bikes and have the throttle only go up to 20 miles per hour. But we have to remember this bike isn't really like a moped style bike. So going past 20 miles per hour, it might not be a deal breaker for a lot of people. But the main thing is that acceleration allows me to feel very confident if I am riding this in the road that I can go ahead and get up to a very nice speed pretty quickly. But all right, now for the pedal assist test, I'm in pedal assist level 5. So let's get this thing going in 3, 2, 1, boom. Here we go, baby. And the acceleration, the fast acceleration is still here. We're already at 15 miles per hour, and I'm not pumping too hard as far as like my pedaling. We're at 20 miles per hour. Now I'm gonna give it a little bit more power, 22, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 miles per hour. Very fast, very, very fast. This is a pretty quick bike. I wasn't expecting it to be this quick, but yeah, getting up to 28 miles per hour, you can do that pretty quickly on this bike. And I'm not really that out of breath either, so I really didn't have to try that hard either to get up to that top speed. So I'm very happy with that when it comes to pedaling. All right, so I had to let those cars go past me so I don't show them up on my very fast e-bike here. I'm joking. But anyway, now for my hill test here. So pretty long, steep hill. I do this for every e-bike review. So I'm expecting some pretty good results here with the kind of the power that this motor does have. But anyway, throttle only in 3, 2, 1, boom. And here we go. Again, the 750 watt motor does peak out at, I think, 920 watts. And we're at a pretty steady 8 miles per hour, 9 miles per hour. I want to see, 11 here if we can. All right, we just hit 11 here. and we hit 12 miles per hour. So yeah, 12 miles per hour on a bike like this is pretty respectable. And so typically on a hill like that, I would be using pedal assist, but for just throttle only, I feel very confident with this thing being able to get me up most hills out here in St. Louis. Now, following up on my speed test, let's talk about how it is to pedal on this bike, because again, in the beginning, I mentioned that this does have a cadence and a torque sensor combo. So let's just talk about that. So basically a cadence sensor is more about giving you that power that you want when you are pedaling on this bike and the motor is helping you along to be able to reach those top speeds faster. But it doesn't really give you a natural riding experience when it comes to pedaling. And that's where a torque sensor comes in, where it's more of a natural feeling. When you do start pedaling, that motor kicks in pretty much right away. And that allows you to really feel like you're just pedaling without having a motor like you would just on like a regular traditional bike. But because it does have that combo, this means that the transition between the torque sensor and the cadence sensor means that when you're initially starting, the pedaling is really good coming from a dead start. But then once you start to get up to speed, that cadence sensor really does kick in, and then that allows you to get that power when you need it. But when you are riding this, you won't notice like a dramatic change between the cadence sensor and the torque sensor, which is good. So that gives you a very natural transition when these things are happening in the background. So if you are someone who really likes to pedal, but you want an e-bike because it gives you a little bit of power so you don't have to like tire yourself out all the time unless you really want to, this is going to be one of the better pedaling e-bikes that I've reviewed in quite a long time. And so if you're looking at using this in like city parks or different trails around your city, this is going to be a really good bike for pedaling for you. Now, the estimated range of this bike is between 50 and 60 miles. So definitely you're not going to get that when you are just using throttle only. But from my experience with this bike for a couple of weeks, I will say that I would be fine with just assuming that I can get probably between like 35 to 40 miles with me using throttle a lot of the time, but also using a higher pedal assist level. But the different factors as far as like weight and terrain and wind and all of that stuff do factor in what type of range that you might get. But if you are trying to get that maximum range, drop down to pedal assist level 1, level 2, you'll go slower, but you'll definitely be able to use this bike for a lot longer during the day. But for me, my typical day trips or things like that with this bike, range is not a problem. All right, so now for my cobblestone test here. So actually not bad. So this bike does have an 80mm adjustable suspension here on the front, no rear suspension, but this adjustable suspension is handling that cobblestone pretty well. And this is an air suspension too, as far as like you can actually adjust the air that's inside of the suspension to, you know, kind of fine tune it. I haven't found that I needed to do that right out of the box. I was very happy with the rear suspension performance here, and I'm not in the right gear, but I still was able to get up that hill. But also helping out the comfort and the ride quality is his nice and wide seat, or saddle if you want to call it that. So this thing is nice and big for my big bottom. And as far as like rider height, this bike does support riders between 5'7" and 6'7". Now the tires on this bike come in at 29 inches by 2.35 inches. So these are a really good size for kind of city commuting, but also if you go in the park like I am and you're trying to get up a grass hill like that, these tires fit in very nicely kind of everywhere. So this bike isn't really marketed as an off-road type of bike. You don't have like, you know, 4-inch wide fat tires that you typically see on a lot of e-bikes in that type of category, but these tires aren't super thin either. So I like the fact that they aren't too thin where it'll be kind of annoying if you do need to go off-road. And to charge this bike up, it'll take around 4 to 6 hours while using the included charger. And you can charge the bike with the battery already inside of the bike, or you can also use one of the 2 included keys to be able to take off the battery and charge it on the inside. And the trend I'm starting to see more on e-bikes is that this does have a battery cover that first pops off, and then you'll be able to unlock the battery and then take it out and then be able to take it inside. So I like having that extra cover as another layer of protection for the battery when it is on the bike, just in case you fall off or something. Now, just taking a look at the handlebars, we do have the controls for the bike on the left-hand side. They're nice and rubberized, so they feel really nice to the touch. And then also in the middle, you will find a small but mighty display. So the display is okay. I will say that I do wish it was a little bit brighter, but I do like how the information is laid out on it, and also the colors of the display look nice. But one cool thing about this screen is that you can actually detach it and remove it. So why you would want to do this is because when you do that, no one can just hop on the bike and try to steal it and be able to use the electric power or the motor of the bike. They can still, you know, just pedal normally like a traditional bike, but because the display isn't attached, it automatically cuts that power, which adds another layer of security. Now, you still want to use some type of bike lock for extended periods of time where you are going to be away from the bike. But if you are just running into the store real quick, just being able to take off that display and not allow someone to get away quickly on the bike is nice. But yeah, getting back to the handlebars on the right-hand side, you will find the Shimano 8-speed shifter here, which does have some paddles for the controls. And then to the right of that, you will find this physical bell. And the leather handlebar grips on this bike do feel good. They have this like little bubble here that Mokwheel uses on their bike. So it feels really nice for my palms. All right, so look, I think that's about it for this Mokwheel Tarmac bike. The main thing to take away from this bike is that this is one of the better pedaling experiences that you can get on an e-bike these days, in my opinion, from my experience. So it's really nice just to kind of ride. I typically like to use throttle a lot, but I've just been finding myself wanting to use the pedaling on this bike. So that is good. And the build quality and everything is really top notch. It's a really good, comfortable brand. If you are looking to spend this money on a bike like this, it's something that I can definitely recommend when it comes to the value that you get for the price that you are going to be paying for it. So yeah, I wish the display was a little bit brighter. I wish I could get up to 28 miles per hour with just using the throttle in some type of off-road mode or something like that. But even with those two negatives, I think this bike is still a really good deal and a really good all-around type of city bike that I can recommend for just cruising in a park or just going for a day trip somewhere. So anyway, I'll drop a link down below to this Mokwheel Tarmac electric bike. But that's all I have for you today. So I will be dropping a link down below to this Mokwheel Tarmac bike. It might be an affiliate link, so if you do use it, that will help support this channel. So I really do appreciate that. But for now, drop a comment down below and let me know what you think about this bike yourself. And like always, I do want to thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you later. Peace.